When Phil Ochs performed I Ain't Marching Anymore during the Democratic National Convention in 1968, a burst of fire sparkled throughout the crowd. Hundreds of young men from across America burned their draft cards. It was the highlight of Phil's career. Phil Ochs was the voice of the counterculture era during the 60s. His songs were political, topical, and tapped into the consciousness of young men and women across the continent. But his career was everything but perfect. Although Ochs started with playing classical music, he became interested in other musicians such as Buddy Holly, Elvis Presley, Hank Williams, and Johnny Cash. He eventually returned at Ohio State to study journalism, and he developed an interest in politics. Here we met Jim Glover, a fellow student. Glover introduced Phil to folk music, and he eventually started teaching him how to play guitar. Ochs eventually dropped out of school and followed Glover to New York in 1962 to perform at small folk clubs in Greenwich Village. He started to make a name for himself, and even Bob Dylan said of Ochs, "I just can't keep up with Phil." And he just keeps getting better and better and better. But it all changed around 1968. Phil Ochs felt disillusioned and depressed after the events that had happened that year. Ochs already felt as a piece of him had died because of these events, and he made sure to make this clear on his next album. Ochs decided to change his musical direction, and he became convinced that the average American didn't care about his topical songs anymore. He started to play more country and rock and roll, but for a dark price. He started taking more drugs to get through performances, and he became a heavy drinker. After this tour, Ochs decided to travel around the world, where in 1973 in Africa he got attacked by robbers. They damaged his vocal cords, and this event added on to his growing mental problems. He became increasingly paranoid and was convinced that the attack was set up by government agents. Despite his sense of humor, Ochs was unhappy that his work was not receiving the critical acclaim and popular success he had hoped to achieve. His drinking became more of a problem, and his behavior started to become increasingly erratic. Around 1975, he started to carry a weapon at all times. He was out of money, motivation, and he started to live on the streets.
Phil Ochs no longer exists. He passed away a long time ago, so all you're seeing here is an illusion, an unimportant illusion.
Phil Ochs had died. He died politically in Chicago in 1968. He died professionally in Africa when he got strangled and could no longer sing like he used to. He died spiritually when Chile got overthrown and a close friend got brutally murdered. And he died psychologically at the hands of John Train.
Now Phil Ochs is dead, now I'm Lou Train.
He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and was put on medication, but to no avail. On April 9, 1976, Phil Ochs died by suicide. And as his sister Sonny points out, "The thing that's sad to me is how many of the songs are still relevant," she says. "There's so many that still hold water, and they shouldn't after this many years."
Can't be singing louder than the guns while I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here.